Hello everyone, today we are going to discuss about the pharmacology of antiemetics. Coming to the use of or application of antiemetics, they are mainly used to prevent or suppress the vomiting. Antiemetics are mainly used to suppress the vomiting. They are mainly used to suppress the vomiting induced by drugs, that is drug induced vomiting, to treat vomitings in pregnancy, to treat GI inflammation and viral fever induced vomitings, post operative nausea and vomiting, and also chemotherapy induced vomiting. These are the various applications of antiemetic drugs. Now coming to the classification of antiemetics. Antiemetics are broadly classified into various classes. They are anticholinergics, H1 antihistaminics, neuroleptics, prokinetics, 5-HT3 antagonist, NK1 receptor antagonist, and adjuvant antiemetics. One more important point is the prokinetics and neuroleptics, they are broadly categorized as D2 antagonist, that is dopamine receptor antagonist. In this session we will discuss about each class of the antiemetic drugs. Now coming to anticholinergics. Anticholinergics are mainly used in the prophylaxis and treatment of motion sickness. Anticholinergics are the first drug of choice for motion sickness. They mainly act on the muscarinic cholinergic receptors that are present on the efferent fibers, either in gastrointestinal tract or NTS, which is nothing but solitary nucleus, or on the dorsal vagal nuclei. Anticholinergics, they mainly act on the muscarinic receptors which are present on GIT, NTS or dorsal vagal nuclei. Now coming to the drugs. Hyoscine. Hyoscine, it has the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier, and the antiemetic action of hyoscine is mainly contributed by two factors. It can act centrally and it can also act peripherally. Centrally, hyoscine blocks the acetylcholine receptors and the conduction of nerve impulses across the cholinergic pathway. Centrally, hyoscine blocks the acetylcholine receptors and the conduction of nerve impulse pathway across the cholinergic system. And peripherally, it reduces the gastric and salivary secretions. It has antispasmodic activity, and it also prevents the relaxation of esophageal sphincter. Peripherally, it acts by reducing the gastric and salivary secretions, first point, and second, it has antispasmodic activity, and the third is it prevents the relaxation of sphincter. So this is the overall antiemetic action of hyoscine. Now hyoscine is mainly suitable for short distance traveling, that is to treat the motion sickness for short distance traveling. Coming to the adverse effects, as hyoscine reduces the salivary secretion, the major side effect is or adverse effect is dry mouth. And additionally, it also has blurred vision, constipation, conjunctivitis, confusion, drowsiness, sedation and urinary retention. These are the various adverse effects of hyoscine. And coming to the dose, it is given as 0.2 to 0.4 mg orally, and it is also available as transdermal patch with a dose of 1.5 mg. Now coming to the second class, that is antihistaminics or H1 receptor antagonists. Even antihistaminics are mainly useful to treat motion sickness, and they are also used for morning sickness, post-operative and other forms of nausea and vomiting. Antihistaminics are mainly used to treat motion sickness. And coming to the antiemetic effect, the antiemetic effect of antihistaminics is based on the anticholinergic, antihistaminic, weak antidopaminergic and its sedative properties. So because of these effects, antihistaminics, they have antiemetic effect. And the antihistaminics, they effectively block the histamine induced contraction of intestinal muscle. This is an important point. Antihistaminics, they effectively block the histamine induced contraction of intestinal muscle. Now coming to the drugs, the antihistaminic drugs are promethazine, doxylamine and meclizine. Promethazine, it is mainly useful or it affords the protection in motion sickness for 4 to 6 hours. The unwanted effects are sedation and dry mouth. Coming to doxylamine, it is a sedative H1 antihistaminic and it is used along with pyridoxine to treat morning sickness. The doxylamine is used along with pyridoxine to treat morning sickness. Coming to meclizine, it is a long-acting drug and it protects against the seasickness for 24 hours. This is an important point. Meclizine is a long-acting drug and it protects against seasickness for 24 hours. Whereas promethazine, it is useful only to treat motion sickness for 4 to 6 hours. The next drug is cinnarizine. It is an anti-vertigo drug. So cinnarizine is an anti-vertigo drug which comes under the classification of antihistaminics. It is an anti-vertigo drug with anti-motion sickness property. The cinnarizine, it acts by inhibiting the influx of calcium. It acts by inhibiting the influx of calcium, thereby reduces the release of neurotransmitter. This is the main action of cinnarizine. It acts by inhibiting the influx of calcium, thereby reducing the release of neurotransmitter. And one more important point is the antiemetics, which have both anticholinergic and antihistaminic property. They are the first drug of choice for motion sickness. So these antiemetics, which are primarily used for motion sickness, they should have both anticholinergic and antihistaminic property. Now coming to the next class, that is D2 antagonist or dopamine receptor antagonists. As we have discussed in the classification, the two drugs which come under D2 antagonists are prokinetics and neuroleptics or antipsychotic drugs. And our chemical trigger zone, CTZ, it is mainly rich in dopamine receptors. Chemoreceptor trigger zone, it is mainly rich in dopamine receptors, and hence most of the drugs that antagonize the D2 receptors, they have an antiemetic effect. The chemoreceptor trigger zone or CTZ is rich in dopamine receptors. Hence, most of the drugs which antagonize the D2 receptors, they have antiemetic effect. Now coming to prokinetics. The prokinetics, they mainly increase the gastric motility. Kinetics is nothing but movement. So prokinetics is which enhance the movement. So the prokinetics, they mainly increase the gastric motility, and because of their mechanism of action, they are also called as gastric hurrying agents or gastric emptying agents. The prokinetics are effective in treating vomiting caused by gastroenteritis, uremia, toxins, radiation, post-operative, PO means post-operative nausea and vomiting, and other drugs. Prokinetics are effectively useful to treat vomiting caused by gastroenteritis, uremia, toxins, radiation, PONS, that is nothing but nothing but post-operative nausea and vomiting and other drugs. Now coming to the mechanism of action, the prokinetics also act peripherally and centrally. Peripherally, these prokinetics, they show 5-HT4 agonism. 5-HT4 agonism. Thereby, they release the acetylcholine, increasing the GI motility and esophageal sphincter tone. They show 5-HT4 agonism, which results in the release of acetylcholine, which in turn increases the GI motility and the esophageal sphincter tone. And peripherally, they also show D2 receptor antagonism. They bind to D2 receptors and they increase the motility. And centrally, prokinetics, they act by blocking the D2 receptor antagonist on the CTZ, that is chemoreceptor trigger zone. Thereby they prevent the vomiting reflex. Centrally, they block the D2 receptors on CTZs and they block the vomiting reflex. These two are the major drugs, metoclopramide and domperidone. Metoclopramide and domperidone, these two are the prokinetics, majorly used prokinetics for antiemetics. So metoclopramide, it has both central and peripheral effect. As we have discussed, centrally they block D2 receptors on CTZ and also show weak 5-HT3 antagonism. Metoclopramide also shows weak 5-HT3 antagonism. And peripherally, it shows 5-HT4 agonist. One more important point in metoclopramide is it can cross blood-brain barrier. And because it causes blood-brain barrier, it has so many unwanted effects such as dyskinesia, galacturia, menstrual disorders and sedation. And when compared to metoclopramide and domperidone, metoclopramide is highly effective, or it has high efficacy. Metoclopramide has high efficacy when compared to domperidone. Now coming to domperidone, only peripheral action. Domperidone, it shows only peripheral action, that is nothing but it blocks the D2 receptors in the upper GIT. As it blocks the D2 receptors, it increases the GI motility and the lower esophageal sphincter. LES means lower esophageal sphincter tone. It blocks the D2 receptors and increases the GI motility and LES tone. In contrast to metoclopramide, domperidone does not cross blood-brain barrier. That is the reason why it has low side effects or unwanted effects. But domperidone, it shows low efficacy when compared to metoclopramide. Metoclopramide, it shows high efficacy and it can cross blood-brain barrier and it has more unwanted effects. When it comes to domperidone, it cannot cross blood-brain barrier, it shows low efficacy and it only has peripheral action. It does not have central action, and for that reason the unwanted effects are low in case of domperidone. Now coming to the second class of drugs in D2 receptor antagonists, that is neuroleptics. The major drugs that are used in case of neuroleptics to treat emesis are haloperidol and chlorpromazine. Haloperidol and chlorpromazine, they are mainly used as potent antiemetics. Haloperidol and chlorpromazine are potent antiemetics and sedatives. The mechanism of action is they block the D2 receptors in the chemoreceptor trigger zone. they antagonize apomorphine-induced vomiting. This is an important point. Neuroleptics, they antagonize the apomorphine-induced vomiting. They also have antimuscarinic and antihistaminic property. And because they have antimuscarinic and antihistaminic property, they have a broad spectrum antiemetic action. Neuroleptics, they have a broad spectrum antiemetic action, and they are effective in treating drug-induced and post-operative nausea and vomiting, disease-induced vomiting, chemotherapy, radiation, and morning sickness. Because they have broad spectrum activity, they are mainly used to treat drug-induced and post-operative nausea and vomiting, disease-induced vomiting, chemotherapy-induced vomiting, radiation, and morning sickness. The neuroleptics are less effective in treating motion sickness as the vestibular pathway does not have dopaminergic link. This is an important point. Neuroleptics are less effective in motion sickness as the vestibular pathway does not have dopaminergic link. Coming to the unwanted effects, the neuroleptics, they show sedation, acute muscle dystonia, and hypotension. Sedation, acute muscle dystonia, and hypotension are the unwanted effects of neuroleptics. One more important point is the dose should be lower than the antipsychotic dose. Whenever neuroleptics are used as antiemetics, the dose must be lower than the antipsychotic dose, and they should not be given until the cause of vomiting is diagnosed. Neuroleptics should not be prescribed until the cause of vomiting is diagnosed. Dose must be less and they should not be given until the cause is diagnosed. These two are important points. Now coming to the next class, 5-HT3 antagonist. These are primarily used antiemetics. Examples are ondansetron, granisetron, and palonosetron. They mainly block the depolarizing action of serotonin or 5-HT through 5-HT3 receptors on the vagal afferent pathway, which is in GIT, NTS, and CTZ. 5-HT3 antagonists, they block the depolarizing action of serotonin by binding to 5-HT3 receptors on the vagal afferent pathway in gastrointestinal tract, NTS, and CTZ. Coming to the mechanism of action of 5-HT3 antagonists or ondansetron in specific. Ondansetron is mainly developed to treat chemotherapy-induced vomiting. This drug is mainly developed to treat chemotherapy-induced vomiting. Coming to the mechanism of action, so whenever a cytotoxic drug or radiation, whenever we take cytotoxic drugs or undergo radiation, this results in cell damage. And because of this cell damage, release of chemical mediators like serotonin from the intestinal mucosa are seen. And these chemical mediators, they activate the vagal afferent neurons in the gut. And thus, this results in the transmission of emetogenic impulse to NTS and CTZ. Cytotoxic drugs, they cause cell damage, and this cell damage, it results in the release of chemical mediators like 5-HT3, 5-HT from intestinal mucosa, and these mediators, they activate the vagal afferent neurons in the gut, and they propagate the transmission of emetogenic impulses to NTS and CTZ. ondansetron, it has a plasma half-life of 3 to 5 hours, and it is less effective in delayed vomiting. Ondansetron is less effective in delayed vomiting. When it comes to granisetron, the plasma half-life is 8 to 12 hours, and it is 10 times more potent and effective. Granisetron is 10 times more potent and effective when compared to ondansetron. Now coming to the other drug, palonosetron, the elimination half-life of palonosetron is high, that is 40 hours, and it is more effective in suppressing the delayed vomiting. So the drug of choice or effective drug in case of delayed vomiting is palonosetron. Palonosetron, the elimination half-life is 40 hours, and it is more effective in suppressing the delayed vomiting. Ondansetron is less effective. Palonosetron is more effective in suppressing the delayed vomiting. Now coming to the second class of drugs in D2 receptor antagonists, that is neuroleptics. The major drugs that are used in case of neuroleptics to treat emesis are haloperidol and chlorpromazine. Haloperidol and chlorpromazine, they are mainly used as potent antiemetics. Haloperidol and chlorpromazine are potent antiemetics and sedatives. The mechanism of action is they block the D2 receptors in the chemoreceptor trigger zone. Now coming to next class, that is NK1, neurokinin NK1 receptor antagonists. Coming to the mechanism of action of these NK1 receptor antagonists. So any chemotherapy treatment or other emetogenic stimuli, it releases substance P, and this substance P, it activates the NK1 receptors at NTS or CTZ, and hence it induces the vomiting. Any chemotherapy or other emetogenic stimuli, it releases substance P, and this substance P, it activates the NK1 receptors at NTS or chemoreceptor trigger zone, and this results in the induction of vomiting. This is the overall mechanism of action of NK1 receptor induced vomiting. So the drug is aprepitant. NK1 receptor antagonist is aprepitant. It is highly effective NK1 receptor antagonist, and it has low effect on 5-HT3. Aprepitant also prevent the effect of substance P on NK1 receptor. And one more important point is the cisplatin. Cisplatin is a cytotoxic drug. Cisplatin based chemotherapy. In case of cisplatin based chemotherapy, the antiemetic efficacy is enhanced by taking 3 drugs, that is IV dose of ondansetron plus oral aprepitant and additionally dexamethasone. These 3 drug combination is used to increase the antiemetic efficacy in case of cisplatin based chemotherapy. Ondansetron, IV ondansetron, oral aprepitant and dexamethasone are used in combination to enhance the antiemetic efficacy in case of cisplatin based chemotherapy. And other uses of NK1 receptor antagonist or aprepitant is it is used in delayed vomiting than acute, especially in case of patients with multiple cycles of chemotherapy. So delayed vomiting is mainly treated with the help of aprepitant. Coming to the unwanted effects, weakness, flatulence and fatigue are the unwanted effects of aprepitant. Cataract. Coming to Corticosteroids. Corticosteroids, the drug of choice is dexamethasone, more often used to increase the efficacy of other primary antiemetic drugs. They enhance the efficacy against both acute and delayed emesis. They are used alone or in combination with ondansetron in acute emesis and cytotoxic drug-induced emesis. 90% they are used in combination with ondansetron to increase the antiemetic efficacy of ondansetron. Coming to the unwanted effects, they are hyperglycemia, hypertension, cataract and osteoporosis. Hyperglycemia, hypertension, cataract and osteoporosis are the unwanted effects of dexamethasone. The next adjuvant antiemetics are cannabinoids and the drug of choice is Nebulone. Cannabinoids, they decrease the vomiting caused by agents that stimulate the CT set or vomiting center itself. VC is nothing but vomiting center. And the central antiemetic effect is mainly seen by CB1, cannabinoid agonism in the brainstem, which suppresses the emetic reflex. Coming to unwanted effects, drowsiness, dizziness and dry mouth are the unwanted effects of cannabinoids or Nebulone. The next adjuvant antiemetics are benzodiazepines, and example of drug is lorazepam. Lorazepam, it has a weak antiemetic action by its own, but it may be used as adjunctive agent along with dexamethasone and metoclopramide. Lorazepam does not have, it has a weak antiemetic action by its own, but lorazepam can be used along with dexamethasone and metoclopramide to reduce the anxiety. As they are anti-anxiety drug, lorazepam also has anti-anxiety property. Though it has weak antiemetic action by its own, it is used in combination with dexamethasone and metoclopramide to reduce the anxiety. Coming to the unwanted effects, they are sedation and amnesia. Lorazepam causes sedation and amnesia. Usually used. Now coming to the overall classification of antiemetic drugs. The first class is muscarinic receptor antagonists. The drugs are hyoscine. It is either given orally as IV patch or IV intravenous or as transdermal patch. Coming to the mechanism of action, it blocks the acetylcholine receptors in the vestibular apparatus. Coming to the uses, it is the primary drug of choice in motion sickness and it is not used in chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting. Muscarinic receptor antagonists are not used in chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting. Coming to side effects, dry mouth, blurred vision, constipation, urine retention are some of the side effects of muscarinic receptor antagonists. The next class is H1 receptor antagonists. The drugs are promethazine, diphenhydramine, doxylamine and meclizine. The mechanism of action is blockage of H1 receptors in the vestibular nuclei. Uses, they are primarily used for motion sickness and promethazine is primarily used in severe morning sickness. Promethazine is used in severe morning sickness. This is important point. Coming to the side effects, sedation, hypotension and other acetylcholine effects are considered as side effects for H1 receptor antagonists. Coming to the next class, that is NK1 antagonist. The drug is aprepitant. Coming to the mechanism of action, they block the NK1 receptors and thereby they prevent the action of substance P. Coming to the uses, they are used to treat acute and delayed chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting. They are also used in post-operative nausea and vomiting, and usually they are used in combination with 5-HT3 antagonists and corticosteroids. Coming to the side effects, weakness, flatulence and fatigue are the side effects of aprepitant. Coming to next class, that is 5-HT3 antagonists. The drugs are ondansetron, granisetron and palonosetron. They are either given orally or as intravenous administration. Coming to the mechanism of action, they block the 5-HT3 receptors in vomiting center, CTZ and the intestinal vagal efferents. Coming to the uses, 5-HT3 antagonists are primarily used in chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. Ondansetron was primarily developed to treat chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. And other uses are post-operative nausea and vomiting, pre-operative nausea and vomiting. Their efficacy increases along with corticosteroids and NK1 antagonists. The efficacy of 5-HT3 antagonists increases when they are used along with corticosteroids and NK1 antagonists. Coming to the side effects are usually well tolerated. They are mild headache, dizziness and constipation. Coming to the next class of drugs, that is D2 receptor antagonists. There are two classes, prokinetics and neuroleptics. Coming to prokinetics, the drugs are metoclopramide and domperidone. Coming to the mechanism of action, the prokinetics show both central action and peripheral action. Centrally, they block the D2 receptors and peripherally, they act as 5-HT4 agonists. Coming to the uses, they are used in GERD-induced vomiting. And here, the antiemetic efficacy is seen by blocking the D2 receptors. Coming to the side effects, metoclopramide. As metoclopramide crosses the blood-brain barrier, the major side effects are seen for metoclopramide. They are extrapyramidal effects, galacturia, impotence and sedation. Coming to next class of D2 receptor antagonist, it is neuroleptics. The drugs are chlorpromazine and haloperidol. The mechanism of action is they block the D2 receptors. They are mainly used for chemotherapy-induced nausea, vomiting and post-operative nausea and vomiting. Coming to the side effects are extrapyramidal side effects, sedation and hypotension. Coming to the final class, these are antiemetic adjuvants, the cannabinoids, corticosteroids or more specifically glucocorticoids. Next, benzodiazepines. Coming to cannabinoids, the drugs are Nebilon and Dronabilone. Mechanism of action is they act on central cannabinoid receptors, CB1 receptors. Coming to uses, they are used in vomiting due to cytotoxic agents. They are used in combination but not alone. Coming to the side effects, sedation, hallucinations, hypotension and tachycardia are the side effects of cannabinoids. Coming to next class of adjuvants, antiemetic adjuvants, that is glucocorticoids, or the drugs are dexamethasone. The antiemetic action is partly unclear, but they are mainly used in combination with primary antiemetic drugs. Coming to the uses, they are used in chemotherapy-induced vomiting, post-operative nausea and vomiting. They are used combined with 5-HT3 antagonists or NK1 receptor antagonists. Coming to side effects, the side effects are hyperglycemia, hypertension, increased intraocular pressure and increased appetite. Coming to the next class, benzodiazepines. The drug is lorazepam and it has very low antiemetic action and whose mechanism of action is unclear, and it is used in combination with other primary antiemetic drugs like dexamethasone and metoclopramide to treat anxiety. It is good for anticipatory nausea and vomiting. It is also useful for vestibular disorders. Lorazepam. Coming to the side effects are sedation and amnesia. So this is the overall picture of antiemetic drugs. So in case of chemotherapy and whenever the cytotoxic drugs are taken, they damage the gastric mucosa, and because the GIT mucosa is damaged, this results in the release of neurotransmitters or mediators like serotonin and substance P from enterochromaffin cells. The damage caused due to gastrointestinal tract, it results in the release of serotonin and substance P, and these neurotransmitters or mediators, either they directly induce the vomiting center and cause vomiting, or they induce the chemoreceptor trigger zone and result in vomiting. This is nothing but vagal afferent pathway. Either serotonin or substance P, they mainly act along the vagal afferent pathway and induce the CTZ or vomiting center. Now coming to motion sickness. In case of motion sickness, here the vestibular nuclei are involved, and this vestibular nuclei, they induce or activate the chemoreceptor trigger zone, thereby inducing the vomiting. The muscarinic receptor antagonists and the H1 receptor antagonists, they primarily act in the vestibular nuclei pathway, and hence they are used to treat motion sickness. Because they act here, the M1 receptor antagonists and the H1 receptor antagonists are primarily used to treat motion sickness. When it comes to chemotherapy induced vomiting, 5-HT3 antagonists and NK1 antagonists, they are primarily used to treat cytotoxic drug induced vomiting. And whereas H1 antagonists, D2 antagonists, cannabinoids, and similarly NK1 antagonists and M1 antagonists, they also have central effect by acting or blocking these particular receptors in the chemoreceptor trigger zone. The H1 antagonists, they block the H1 receptors, whereas D2 antagonists, they block D2 receptors. NK1 antagonists, they block the NK1 receptors, and finally they prevent the vomiting. One more important point is higher brain centers. The higher brain centers, they also induce vomiting by acting on vomiting center, and benzodiazepines, they prevent the vomiting induced by higher brain centers due to pain, emotional stress, or other stimuli. So this is the overall picture of disease and the drug of choice. When it comes to motion sickness, M1 antagonists and H1 antagonists are the primary drug of choice. When it comes to morning sickness, promethazine and pyridoxine are primarily used to treat morning sickness. And drug induced vomiting, in case of CTZ, D2 antagonists are the primary drug of choice. When it comes to post-operative nausea and vomiting, D2 antagonists, 5-HT3 antagonists and NK1 antagonists are primarily used to treat post-operative nausea and vomiting. When it comes to chemotherapy, cytotoxic drug induced vomiting, D2 antagonists, 5-HT3 antagonists, NK1 antagonists, glucocorticoids and cannabinoids, they are primarily used to treat chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for further videos on pharmacology.